सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Repeat once. जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयः यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यम् द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. So these are the invocation verses which we'll be chanting together every day. So in the last camp, we had started Srimad Bhagavatam from the first canto. So in this camp, we plan to continue from where we had stopped last time. So naturally, it becomes my duty to revise whatever we had seen, both for those who have not attended it and also for those who have attended, because it's now almost 1 year. So briefly we will see the first canto till where we had stopped last year. So the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam starts with this verse, which just now we have chanted. Janmadyasya yatonvayad itaratah cha artheshu abhijñah swarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayah tejo varimridam yatha vinimayah yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Satyam param dhimahi. We meditate upon what? Satyam, truth. We meditate upon the supreme truth. Now what is the supreme truth? The whole verse is talking about that truth. Now in this verse you will find it is the very essence of the Upanishads. It is the very essence of Bhagavad Gita. It is the very essence of the entire Vedas. One verse has summarized the essence of the entire Vedas. So what is the essence of the entire Veda? The ultimate truth. And what is that truth? So what is being said here? Janmadyasya yataha. That supreme truth from which Janma etc. took place. Janma of what? Janma means creation. Creation, sustenance and dissolution. That supreme truth from which the creation, sustenance and dissolution of this universe is taking place, which can be known by Anvayad itaratah. Anvaya and Vyatireka. Cha artheshu abhijñah. That supreme truth which is the very life principle in each and every being. Swarat. That supreme truth which is the very consciousness in each and every being, because of which we are conscious of the world, because of which we are aware of the world. It knows itself. It is self-illumining. Muhyanti yat surayah. That supreme truth about which even the great rishis and munis are deluded. Tene brahma hridaya adikave. That supreme truth which gave the entire knowledge of creation to Brahmaji, the creator, just by a mere sankalpa. Tejo varimridam yatha vinimayah yatra trisargo mrisha. That supreme truth because of which the whole world appears to be real and existing. That supreme truth because of which our waking state, dream state and deep sleep state appears to be very real. Dhamna svena sada nirastakuham. But from its own standpoint, the whole world is an illusion. There is nothing called the world. There is nothing called dream, waking and deep sleep. That supreme truth we meditate upon. You see, the whole essence of the Upanishads have come or not. It's over. If you have understood this, you can fold Bhagavatam and keep it aside. It's over. This is the first verse. a very heavy, deep verse. The more and more you analyze, the more and more clarity comes. In fact, in this one verse itself, we can spend the whole 1 week of the camp. Right. So last camp we had spent long time on this. So this is the essence. Now let us come to the story part. So in a forest called Naimisharanya, lot of Rishi Munis had gathered there. The Kali Yuga had just started. So they were doing one Mahayaga. They were doing yaga. And they say the length of that yaga is supposed to be 1,000 years. Why were they doing it? They were doing it as a worship of Lord. So whenever they used to get break, they used to do some satsang. So at that time, during that break time, Shaunakadi Rishis, they approached another Rishi called Suta Rishi. Highly knowledgeable, highly learned, a realized man. So all these Rishis, they approached Suta Rishi, sat at his feet and said, O Rishi, Tvaya khalu puranani setihasani chanagha akhyatanyapyadhitani dharmashastrani anyuta. Hey Rishi, you have mastered all the scriptures, the itihasas, the puranas, the dharmashastras. You have mastered everything. Now this is the one question which I would like to ask. So who is asking this? Shaunaka Rishi. Shaunaka Rishi is asking Suta Rishi. O Rishi, you know everything. You have studied all the scriptures. Now this is the one question which I want to ask. What is that? Tatra tatranjasayushman bhavata yadvinishchitam pumsamekantata shreyah tanna shamsitumarhasi. O Rishi, tell me this. What is the essence of all the scriptures? Whatever scriptures you have studied, what is the essence? What is it that which is good for all of us? Shreyas, Paramashreyas, the supreme good for all of us. Tell us that. Naturally the question comes, you study the scriptures and find it out for yourself. So the Shaunaka Rishi says, no, that is not possible. Why? Because this is Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it is not possible to study all scriptures. Why? Prayenalpayushasabhya kalavasmin yuge janaha mandasu mandamatayah mandabhagya hyupadrutaha. In Kali Yuga, these are the kind of people who are going to be born. Who are they? Prayena alpayushaha. Our lifespan is very small. Totally distracted. Mandaha su mandamatayaha mandabhagyaha upadrutaha. Description of people who are going to be born in Kali Yuga. Mandaha, lazy. Su mandamatayaha, unintelligent. Mandabhagyaha, unfortunate ones. Upadrutaha, so much distracted, sensuous, extroverted. So, O Rishi, these are the kinds of people who are going to be born in Kali Yuga. Therefore, it is not possible for all of us to understand the deep import of the scriptures. So therefore, you who have studied all the scriptures, please tell us the essence of the scriptures, that which is ultimate good for all of us. This is the question. So then, what did Suta Rishi say? Suta Rishi first prostrated unto his teacher. Who was his teacher? Shuka Brahma Rishi. So whatever we have chanted, Yab Pravrajantam Anupetam Abeta Krityam, these are all the invocation verses by Suta Rishi. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam, all those. So Suta Rishi is remembering his guru, Shuka Brahma Rishi. Who is Shuka Brahma Rishi? Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munim Anatosmi. That Rishi who is Sarva Bhuta Hridayam, the very self of all beings. Now there is a small incident which is described here. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam. That Rishi who at a very young age, so Shuka Brahma Rishi was the son of Vyasa Rishi. So at a very young age, before his thread ceremony was over, this little boy, he renounced everything. And then he was just leaving everything and going. And then what happened? Dvaipayanaha virahakatara ajuhava. Vyasa Rishi started running behind this boy, saying, stop, don't go. With that pang of separation. Because this boy was renouncing everything and going. And he was walking along the forest. And this father, out of love for that child, he was running after this boy. And then what happened? When this father, Vyasa Rishi, was saying, please don't go, leaving us. And then it is said, Putreti tan mayataya taravaha abhineduhu. The trees present there, they responded to this call of Vyasa Rishi. What did the trees say? The trees say, O Rishi, this boy is not your son. He is the very self of all beings. That was the state which this Shuka Brahma Rishi has reached. To that Shuka Brahma Rishi, who is the very self of all beings, my prostrations. So he remembers his teacher. And then, Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. So it is said, we must pray unto Nara and Narayana, the two great rishis. And then Devim Saraswatim, Saraswati Devi and Vyasam. Before we study this text, we must prostrate unto them. And then we must start the study. So after having prostrated to all of them, Suta Brahma Rishi starts answering the question. So what is the question? What is the best thing a person must do according to the scriptures? So now what does Suta Rishi say? First of all, he congratulates the questioner for having asked such a wonderful question which is going to benefit everyone. So what is the answer? Savai pumsam paro dharmah yato bhaktiradhokshaje ahaitukya pratihata yayatma samprasidati. Savai pumsam paro dharmah. This is the greatest duty of a person. This is the one thing he must do. And what is that? Adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata bhaktihi. What is the one thing to be done? One must develop supreme devotion for the Lord. And what kind of devotion? Ahaituki, unconditional. Apratihata, uninterrupted. Developing unconditional, uninterrupted, supreme devotion for God is the one thing to be done by everyone. This is the essence of the scriptures. Why should we do it? Yaya Atma Samprasidati. Because this is the only thing which will give you total fulfillment in life. If at all there is something which will give you total fulfillment in life, there is only one thing, and what is that? Supreme devotion for God. Then we may ask, what about Jnana, Vairagya, etc.? Listen. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahaitukam. The moment you start developing devotion for God, everything else starts coming automatically. What are they? Vairagyam Jnanam Janayati Ashu. The moment bhakti develops in your heart, you start gaining jnanam, knowledge, you start developing in vairagyam, devotion. You don't have to put special effort for it. Automatically it comes. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. As the devotion in your heart develops, jnanam and vairagyam also comes. So in Bhagavata Mahatmya, which we had taken in Chokkerli, some of you were there. So who is mother? Bhakti, Bhakti Mata. And who are the two children of Bhakti Mata? Jnana and Vairagya. So Bhakti Mata had two children, Jnana and Vairagya. Correct? And what about Moksha? Who is Moksha? It is said she is the slave of Mother Bhakti. Slave, servant maid. Meaning what? Once you develop devotion, moksha will come to you like a servant. It just comes. You don't have to put special effort for it. So this is the relationship in that Bhagavata Mahatmya we had seen in detail. Right. So the whole point is Jnanam and Vairagyam can be easily developed when you have developed Bhakti. But then some people say performance of one's duties strictly, that is supposed to be the ultimate goal of life. Now listen. Dharmasvanushtitah pumsam vishwaksena kathasuyah notpadayet yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. If at all there is a person who is strictly performing his duties, not bothered about this bhakti, etc. Now here the Rishi says, if your strict performance of duties doesn't lead to devotion for God, shrama eva hi kevalam. It is a total waste of effort. Straight. And it is very true, because in this society we find there are so many people who are very strict with respect to their duties, but what happens to their personality unfoldment? Nothing has happened. Isn't it? Stubborn. All kinds of people we see. Now Bhagavatam says, if your performance of duty doesn't lead to bhakti for God, love for God, then it has not served the purpose at all. Then how should the duties be performed? Ataf pumbhir dvijasreshtha varnashrama vibhagashah swanushthitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Duties must be performed in such a way, whatever be made your duty, according to varna ashrama vibhagashah, according to your varna and ashrama, whether you are a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprasthya or a sannyasi, whether you are a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya or a shudra, it doesn't matter. What matters is, when you perform your duties well, it must lead to this. What? Haritoshanam. The Lord must be pleased with you. This is the proof that you are performing your duties very well. Samsiddhi, the fulfillment of performance your duty, is in pleasing the Lord. This is the point. Haritoshanam. So every time such a karma yogi, such a person is called a karma yogi. Who is a karma yogi? Karma yogi is the one who performs his duties, fulfills his responsibilities. But what is the question he asks to himself every time? Oh God, with this action of mine, are you pleased? This is the question. If you have pleased God, then your action is the best. This is the one question to be asked every time. Normally, what is the one question we ask ourselves every time? Did I get what I want? I am performing action for certain result. Have I got the result or not? This is the question which is always there at the back of our mind, isn't it? But what is the question to be asked? A wise person will ask only one question. Not whether I have got what I wanted or not. No. His only one question is, God, I have performed this action. This action has been performed by this body which is given to me by you. These talents and capacities, abilities are given to me by you. These resources belong to you. This world belongs to you. This life belongs to you. Everything belongs to you, O God. this action which I have done with this body which belongs to you, are you pleased? Now, how will we know whether God is pleased with our action or not? Peace of mind is the proof. If your mind is at peace, understand God is pleased with you. Haritoshanam. If your mind is disturbed, understand what? God is not pleased. There is an indication. Very clear indication is given to everyone whether he is pleased with you or not. Whenever we do something wrong, there is conscience prick. Understand, this conscience prick is coming from the divine. It is a coded message from the divine saying, my dear child, I am not happy with your actions. Now tell me, what kind of actions will please God? Those actions which will please God. What are those actions? For that we have to know why God takes avatar and comes to this earth. What is the purpose? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya. So why Bhagwan comes? Only for one reason, dharma samsthapana. So what is the best way of pleasing God? Walk the path of dharma. What is the best way of displeasing God? Walk the path of adharma. The moment we walk the path of dharma, you will find out. Whenever we become dharmic, whenever our actions are righteous, the mind will be at peace. Whenever our actions are adharmic, our mind will be disturbed. So this is the proof. The proof whether you have pleased God or not is God should be pleased. And how will you know whether God is pleased or not? If your mind is at peace, then understand God is pleased. If this way a person lives his life, he is the most intelligent person, because through his actions he is purifying his mind. And day by day his devotion for God starts increasing. Right? And then what happens to such a person? He comes to know this great truth. What is the truth? Tachraddadhana munayah jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shrutagrihitaya. And this way the one who has developed devotion for God and thus who has purified his mind, at the same time living in this world and fulfilling his responsibilities, such a person, what happens to him? Such a person gains jnana and vairagya, and ultimately he gains the highest knowledge. And what is the highest knowledge? The highest knowledge is that Supreme God is none other than my own self. Pashyanti Atmani cha Atmanam. He sees that Supreme Lord where? Not outside, but as his own very self. That God, whatever name you may call, Vadanti tat tattvavidah tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Whatever name you may call, Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan, but ultimately it is your own self. And what kind of knowledge it must be? It should be yet jnanam advayam. Not seeing God separate from you, but experiencing God as the very self in you, as yourself. Experience is, I am God. Aham Brahma Asmi. So what is the highest or the greatest duty of a person to gain this knowledge? Dharma, Artha, Kama should be directed towards moksha. Moksha is nothing but knowing our oneness with our Creator. And this can be gained easily by the path of bhakti. What does bhakti do? It purifies the mind. And in such a pure mind alone, this great knowledge can descend. Self-knowledge can descend only in a pure mind. And what does bhakti do? It purifies the mind. Now the question is, how will I gain bhakti? The method of gaining bhakti is be with bhaktas. If you want to gain something, you must go to people who have it, isn't it? If you want money, where will you go? People who are rich. There is no point going to a beggar, isn't it? If you want knowledge about a field, you want knowledge about physics, chemistry, maths, where will you go? You will go to people who have the knowledge regarding that subject. In the same way, if you want bhakti, where you should go? To bhaktas. So this is beautifully pointed out in a few verses. What does Sutarashi say? Shushrusho shraddadhanasya vasudeva katharuchihi syan mahat sevaya vipraha punyartirtha nishevanat. So the first step is go to Punya Kshetra, the places of pilgrimage. Why should we go to Punya Kshetra? Because Mahatmas live there. So the first step is going to Punya Kshetra. And what is the purpose of visiting such places of pilgrimage? Not to see the place and run. That's what we normally do. In one day, 4 or 5 places we visit and then finished. Sringeri, Gokarna, Kollur Mukamika, everything over in one day. Now here see the purpose. Why should you visit Tirtha Kshetra? You should go there because those are the places where Mahatmas live. Next step is Mahat Sevaya. Serve the Mahatmas, saints and sages there. They are the ones who are the repositories of Bhakti, Jnana and Vairagya. Be with them. Learn from them, serve them, listen to them. Mahat Sevaya, the great ones, serve them, be with them. And then, Shraddadhanasya, have faith in them, faith in their words. And when they speak, Sushrushaha, listen attentively, carefully, with full attention. The same idea comes in Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Tad vidhi, know this great knowledge. How? Pranipatena, fall at the feet of the masters. Pariprasnena, ask questions, relevant questions. Sevaya, serve them. Then what will they do? Upadekshanti, they will advise you, they will guide you in this path towards the great truth. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Such seers of truth, such great Mahatmas, they will surely guide you. So the same idea is brought here. Go to the Tirtha Kshetras, be with the Mahatmas, learn from them. And then what happens? What will they speak? They will speak only about Bhagavan. They will speak only about God, His nature, how to develop devotion for God, etc. So what they will do is, they will tell you Vasudeva Katha. So here, the main point in Bhagavatam is, in order to develop love for God, first of all, you must know who is God. And in order to know God, you must know the deeds of God. Isn't it? How do we know a person, whether he is a good person or a bad person? When we listen to the deeds of that person, we come to know whether he is good or bad. Isn't it? In the film also, there is a hero, there is a villain. How do we know who is hero and who is villain? We come to know by seeing his deeds. What are the action he is involved? Isn't it? And then what happens to us? The person who does good deeds, naturally there is a tendency to love that person. The person who is doing bad deeds, the tendency is to hate that person. It is a human psychology. You love such people who are good, who have all virtues, and you naturally hate the person who has all vices. So in Bhagavatam, what is the technique used? The technique is, you are introduced to that Supreme God through His deeds, through His Leelas. And all those Leelas are very, very sweet, absorbing, captivating, fascinating. So you'll find Bhagwan always support people who are dharmic, people who are righteous. Right? Bhagwan loves his devotees. And how he saves his devotees from various troubles. These are the things which generally you will find in all stories. So when you start listening to such stories of Bhagwan, slowly what happens? You start loving Bhagwan. And not only that, you start loving Bhagwan, whenever you are in trouble in your own life, what happens? The first thing you remember is God. There is a God who is ever ready to protect me, who is ever ready to guide me, who loves me unconditionally. When you come to know more and more of such a God, slowly you start developing devotion for God. And what happens when that devotion rises in the heart? Shrunvatam swakatham Krishna punyashravana kirtanah hridyantastho hyabhadrani vidhunoti sruhut satam. Bhagwan is suhrit satam. He is a friend of all good people. So when you listen to such stories, what happens? Hridi antastaha abhadrani vidhunoti. All the inauspicious things in the heart, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, etc. The impurities of the heart, he who is remaining in the heart, he washes it clean. Because he is the friend of a devotee, friend of devotees. And then what happens? Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki tadarajastamo bhavaha kamalobhadayaschaye cheta etairanaviddham sthitam sattve prasidati evam prasanna manasah bhagavad bhakti yogatah bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. And when you start having that more and more devotion for God, all the negativities of the mind, they are washed away. Mind becomes pure. The rajas and tamas of the mind goes away. Mind starts becoming sthitam sattve prasidati. The mind becomes sattvic. And in such a pure mind, evam prasanna manasaha. What is a sign that the mind is pure? Prasanna manasaha. Mind is cheerful. It is peaceful. Such a mind which is cheerful, peaceful, such a mind is called prasanna manasaha. In such a mind, Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha. Such a mind has become because of Bhagavad Bhakti. Mind has become sattvic because of Bhagavad Bhakti. And then in such a mind, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Jayate. Jayate means is born. What is born? Vijnanam, knowledge. Of what? Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. That knowledge regarding the truth of the Lord is born. Then, Vidyate Hridaya Granthihi Chidyante Sarva Samshayah Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishware. Vidyante Hridaya Granthihi. All the knots of the heart, it is cut as under. Chidyante sarva samshayaha. All the doubts of the mind vanish. Kshiyante chasya karmani. Or the sense of doership, enjoyership, gone. Kartrutva, bhoktrutva, bhava, everything gone. And then drishte evatmanishware. When one sees that Supreme Lord as the very self, as myself, as the very consciousness in me. Therefore, ataha vai kavayaha nityam bhaktim paramaya muda. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya muda. Vasudeve bhagavati kurvantyatma prasadani. So this is what the wise people do. Kavayaha. Kavayaha means the wise people, knowledgeable people. What do they do? Nityam bhaktim kurvanti. All the time, they are just focused on one thing. What is that thing? how to develop bhakti for Lord. Every situation is converted as an opportunity to develop bhakti. Nityam. Right? So what is the logic given? The logic given is, when you listen to the katha of Bhagavan, you start developing love for God, you start developing devotion for God, and this devotion for God which starts growing in your heart, this devotion start destroying all the negativities of the mind. Mind becomes pure, and in such a pure mind, self-knowledge descends. And once that self-knowledge descends, the person becomes free. He becomes free from all kinds of samsara, janma, marana, this ananta chakra, infinite cycle of birth and death. He becomes free. Have you understood the logic? So what is the first step? What is the first step? Listening to the kathas of the Lord. Not just listening with devotion. After listening to the story, the purpose of the story is only one, developing devotion. So every story has to add a little bit of devotion into your heart. Then only the katha, the purpose has been served. Normally in Bhagavata Katha, Saptah, what happens is they run from one story to another, they run. They don't go into the details of it. Naturally, they don't have time also. In 7 days, they have to cover 18,000 verses. So they have to rush. So here we are not going to rush. We will take our own time. There is no time limit. Right? So last camp also, some 6-7 classes we took. We could not complete even one canto. Forget about 12 cantos. This time also we may not be able to complete the first canto. But we will take our own time. Really enjoying everything. That is the very purpose. Right. So now this clarity has been given. What was the question asked? The question asked is, what is the one thing which a person who is born in this Kali Yuga must do? Because he is an Alpayushi. Time is very less, only 60-70 years. Those people used to live very many years. It is said that by the end of Kali Yuga, our lifespan will come down to 20 to 30 years. 20 to 30. That's what the description of Kali Yuga, which comes in the later part. So, what is the one thing to be done? Develop love for God. And this is exactly the reason, Suta Rishi says, this is exactly the reason why this Bhagavata, Srimad Bhagavatam has been composed. So, Srimad Bhagavatam has been composed by Vedavyasa Rishi. And this Bhagavatam, then he imparted it to Shuka Brahma Rishi, and then Shuka Brahma Rishi gave it to Parikshit Maharaj. This is the story. So when was it given? Parikshit Maharaj came to know. Who is Parikshit, by the way? The son of Abhimanyu. Who is Abhimanyu? Son of Arjuna. Yes. So grandson of Arjuna is Parikshit. He was coronated as the king after Yudhishthira. All those stories are going to come. So when he came to know that I am going to die in 7 days, Takshaka the snake will bite me and I will die in 7 days. So this Parikshit Maharaj left everything, he renounced the world and he sat near the banks of Ganga, fast unto death. So all the great Rishi Munis, they gathered because he was a very famous king, very, very good king he was, Parikshit. So all the great Rishi Munis gathered around him. At that time, Parikshit Maharaj asked this question. Now that only 7 days are left, what am I supposed to do? How am I to really make use of these 7 days, the time? At that time, Shuka Brahma Rishi comes. That was by chance, accidentally. And when Shuka Brahma Rishi saw this condition, he started giving this knowledge, Bhagavatam. And it is said, by the end of the 7th day, Parikshit Maharaj had totally left the body in Samadhi. And then this body which was in Samadhi, Takshaka bites. But before that itself, Parikshit Maharaj had attained what has to be attained. Moksha he had attained. So it really didn't matter to him with respect to this, the body being alive or dead. So this is the story. So then, Parikshit Maharaj, he started giving this knowledge, Bhagavatam. And it is said, by the end of the 7th day, Parikshit Maharaj had totally left the body in Samadhi. And then this body which was in Samadhi, Takshaka bites. But before that itself, Parikshit Maharaj had attained what has to be attained. Moksha he had attained. So it really didn't matter to him with respect to this, the body being alive or dead. So this is the story. Vyasa Bhagavan, he composed this Bhagavatam and then he imparted it to Shuka Brahma Rishi. Shuka Brahma Rishi later on gave it to Parikshit Maharaj. So as Suta Brahma Rishi was telling this, immediately this Rishi stopped. Oh Rishi, please stop. Shaunakadi Rishi stopped. No, we want to know in detail where exactly this Bhagavatam was composed. Why was it composed? When was it composed? Please tell us in detail. So then Suta Rishi said, fine, I'll tell you. So at the end of Dwapara Yuga, Vyasa Rishi was born through Parashara Rishi. So one day Vyasa Rishi was seated on the banks of Saraswati Nadi, quite sad. And why was he sad? He was sad because he was Paravaratnyaha. He could see. He was a Trikala Darshi, Vyasa Rishi. So the past, present and future, he could see everything. And what did he see? He found that in Kali Yuga, this type of people are going to be born. Sensuous, indulgent, extrovert, no health, totally distracted. Such kind of people are going to be born. And this Rishi, his heart melted. What can I do for these people? So the first thing he did was, the Vedas were compiled and made it into 4 divisions. So he thought, at least maybe 1/4 of the Vedas they could remember. Now look at our condition. Even one verse of the Vedas we can't remember properly. So first thing what Vyasa Rishi did was, he compiled the Vedas, divided them into 4. And then one Shishya was given one responsibility of handling one particular branch of Veda. So Rig Veda was given to Paila Rishi. Sama Veda was given to Jaimini Rishi. Yajur Veda was given to Vaishampayana Rishi. Atharvana Veda was given to Sumantu Rishi. Itihasas and Puranas, it was given to Romaharshana Rishi, who happened to be the father of Suta Brahma Rishi. So this way he divided the Vedas into 4, but he was not satisfied. Why was he not satisfied? He felt that these Vedas in those times, it could be studied only by Brahmanas. The women and the low caste, they were not allowed to study this. So he felt that this is not going to serve the purpose. Therefore, he then went on to compose another huge Mahabharata containing 1,00,000 verses. The very same essence of the Vedas were put in Mahabharata. But again he was not happy. So one day he was seated, not knowing what to do because he has done all this, very sad. At that time, Narad Rishi comes. Narad Rishi comes, oh Vyasa Rishi, what happened? Why are you sitting like this, sad? You have done such wonderful things. You have lived for the welfare of all. Why are you sad? Then Vyasa Rishi said, this exactly is my question to you. I don't know why am I sad. You please look into my heart and tell me what actually has gone wrong. Then Narada Rishi told, yes Vyasa Rishi, there is one mistake you have done. And what is the mistake? Yatha dharmadayascharthaha munivaryanu-kirtitaha na tatha vasudevasya mahimahyanuvarnitaha. Vyasa Rishi, fine, we agree that you have done lots. But in your composition like Mahabharata etc., too much of emphasis is given on dharma, artha, kama, moksha. What about bhakti? There is nothing. It has been sidelined. This is the mistake you have done. How much importance bhakti deserves, that you have not given. Your composition is full of logic and philosophy and all this and that. Fine. Beautiful descriptions are there, expositions are there. You have expounded dharma, artha, kama, moksha well, but that Lord who has created the world, you have not praised Him properly. The importance of bhakti has been sidelined. This is the mistake you have done. Why bhakti is important? Now Naradji gives logic. Bhakti is important. Why? Number one, without bhakti, none of the yoga sadhanas are possible. Is karma yoga possible without bhakti? Impossible. The 4 principles of karma yoga are Performance of duty, performing it as best as you can, performing it as a worship of the Lord, receiving the results as prasad from the Lord, isn't it? Kartavya nirvahanam, performance of duty. Second one, samyak acharanam, doing it as best as you can. Third one, Ishvara arpana buddhihi, offering it as a worship of the Lord. And the fourth one, Ishvara prasada buddhihi. The most important thing is offering it unto God. Ishvararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Ishvararpitam, that is the first thing. So Vyasa Rishi, bhakti is important because without bhakti, karma yoga is impossible. Even jnana yoga is impossible. All the yogas, the most important thing is bhakti. Point number one. Point number two, bhakti alone gives total fulfillment. What is it that we want in life? Fulfillment, happiness, peace, isn't it? Why are the people indulging in the worldly things? It is only for happiness. It is only bhakti which can give a greater happiness and thus help the person withdraw his mind from the extroverted activities. Mind wants happiness. When it is not given the joy of the self, it wanders into the world. So it is only bhakti which can withdraw the extroverted mind and make it look within. Second logic. Third one, bhakti is possible by everyone. There is no qualification for bhakti. Even children have become great bhaktas. Men and women have become great bhaktas. All people from all countries have become great bhaktas. What to talk? Even animals and birds have become bhaktas. Because there is no qualification for this thing. Whereas for jnana, qualification is there. You must have a strong intellect, sharp intellect. You must be able to discriminate. You must be able to think logically. All these qualifications are not there in bhakti. So this is another important advantage. And then another point Narji says is bhakti has no side effects. This is another advantage. No side effects at all. For example, a jnani may become proud of his knowledge. A bhakta can never become proud. Because the very foundation of bhakti is, O God, I am nothing, you are everything. And moreover, even if, Naradji says, even if a person gives up his duties and dedicate totally unto God, even then there is no side effects. So this is another advantage. And then one more advantage. What is it? As far as sukha and dukkha is concerned, it will come to you unasked because of your prarabdha karma. Now, do you ask dukkha because of which you are dukkhi? No, it comes. According to your prarabdha karma, dukkha comes. In the same way, sukha, bhoga, everything comes. Pleasures come. So, spending life in trying to gaining what anyway comes is meaningless. One must use life in order to get that which you will not get unless you strive for. And therefore, one must strive for bhakti. And the greatness of bhakti is apichet suduracharaha bhajate mamananya bhak sadhureva samantavyaha. Even the greatest sinner is qualified for bhakti. And the beauty of bhakti is, it is addictive. These are all the reasons given. It is very addictive. Once you get the taste of the higher, you cannot leave it. Isn't it? You will never find a great bhakta leaving everything and going after the world. You will never find it. Why? Because the addiction is that much. It is of the highest addiction. So only thing is, in the beginning you have to just get a taste of it. Bas, then you will not leave it. And moreover, bhakti is natural. It is natural to have love for God, who is our creator, who is our sustainer. You don't have to create it. You have to just know who God is, and love automatically emerges. Just as we love our father and mother. Love is natural. It is the very basis of all sadhanas. So therefore, O Vyasa Rishi, you must write something in such a way that by reading it, what should happen? devotion in the hearts of people should develop. Such a composition is what should come from you, and you are really capable because you are none other than Bhagavan's avatar. So therefore you can definitely do it. So therefore what you have to do, go into meditation, get into samadhi, and remember all those things what Bhagavan had done in the previous yugas, in the previous kalpas. Whatever Bhagavan has done, start jotting it down. It is the one of the greatest thing you can do for the people who are going to be born in the Kali Yuga. And now Narad Rishi gives his own, what he call, example. What does he say? Oh Vyasa Rishi, look at me, where I was and now where I am. See the difference. It is only because of Bhagavad Katha. I was born as a son of a servant maid. So in my village, a group of Rishi Munis used to come for Chaturmasya. So now Naradji gives his story. For Chaturmasya, a group of Rishi Munis used to come. 4 months they used to stay there. So because my mother was a servant maid, I was given the task of taking care of them, helping them, etc., etc. So I used to do it. So I used to serve these Mahatmas. And because of that service, my mind became pure. And thus, when they used to do this katha, from morning till evening, katha used to happen, and I just used to sit and listen. And slowly, slowly what happened? Listening to these kathas, my mind became so pure. At a very young age itself, I got this knowledge. And slowly, slowly, this devotion unto God became so firm that whole my life, I did only this. What you were doing? Namanyanantasya hatatrapah pathan guhyani bhadrani kritani chasmaran gamparyatan tushtamana sprahah kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsarah. So this is the secret of happy living. How you must live your life. So this is how Naradji spent his life. What is that? Namani anantasya hatatrapah patan, chanting the name of God, singing His glories without any kind of shame or shyness. Guhyani bhadrani kritani chasmaran, remembering God's greatness, leelas, all the wonderful deeds which He has done. Then tushtamanaha, totally contented. Gatasprahaha, free from all kinds of worldly desires. Vimadaha, free from pride. Vimatsaraha, free from jealousy. And then kalam pratikshan, not worrying about death, etc. As long as I am alive, let me remember the Lord. Let me chant His name. This way I lived my life. And because of some reason, that body was dropped. I died. And then in the next kalpa, I was born as the Manasa Putra of Brahmaji, mind-born son of Brahmaji, along with Sanakadi Rishis. Look at this. Just by remembering God, where I was and now where I am. Now I can go to any of the worlds, any of the 14 worlds I can go without any kind of obstruction. And God has blessed me with this veena. It's a divine veena which can bring out divine swaras, which here we people can't listen, they say. It's a divine veena. So playing on this veena, I go all around the world. Any of the world I can enter. Not only the worlds, I can enter into the heart of the people also. So see the glory of God. Everything, it is because I could listen to the katha of Bhagavan and thus develop devotion for God. Oh, therefore, O Vyasa Rishi, this is my request. There is only one way in which you can do good to the people, that is by helping them develop devotion. And the best way of developing devotion is write something, compose something, leelas of the Lord, reading which, chanting which, people can develop devotion. Vyasa Rishi was fully satisfied. He said, yes Rishi, definitely I will do that. Then what did Vyasa Rishi do? We will see tomorrow. Yes. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhaved असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।